Again, विकारै सहितो युक्तये विशेषादिभिरावृतः अंडकोशो बहिरयं 50 कोटि विस्तृतः. This phenomenal material world is expanded to a diameter of 4 billion miles as a combination of 8 material elements transformed into 16 further categories within and without as follows.
Prabhu, you are not sharing your screen.
Oh, okay. Screen number 2. Sorry. Okay. Okay. जगदात्मन इति अनेन व्यञ्जितं सर्वजगत्परिच्छेदकत्वं तस्याः. So previously, the Supreme Lord is described as described using the word Jagatman, which indicates that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the very soul of the universe. So now this further indicates that he actually pervades, he covers all over the universe. He is the one who is present everywhere inside the universe. And that is now pointed out in text 40. Vikaraihi Shodashavihi Yuktaihi. So there are 16 transformations. Ashtaprakriti Yuktaihi, along with 8 material elements. Vikaraihi. Correct. With 8 elements, material elements. So the universe is first of all made out of the 8 elements, and then is transformed into 16. Ayam andakoshaha yatra pravishtaha paramanuvat lakshiyate iti uttarena. There's a connection between this verse and the next verse. Idrishaha bahir visheshadibhi prithviadibhi saptabhi avrita. It is further covered by 7 layers, each one being one element. As explained before, the entire material world is a display of 16 diversities and 8 material elements. The analytical studies of the material world are the subject matter of Sankhya philosophy. The first 16 diversities are the 11 senses and 5 sense objects. The 11 senses itself means 5 working senses, 5 knowledge acquiring senses, and the internal sense, the mind. Then the 5 sense objects. The 5 sense objects means sound, touch, form, taste, smell. And the 8 elements are the constituents of gross and subtle matter, namely earth, water, fire, air, sky. That's Panchamahabhutas. And then we have subtle matter composed of mind, intelligence, and ego. All these combined together are distributed throughout the entire universe, which extends diametrically to 4 billion miles. That means the diameter is 4 billion miles. Besides this universe of our experience, there are innumerable other universes. Some of them are bigger than this one, and all of them are clustered together under similar material elements, as described below. 41. दशोत्तराधिकैर्यत्र प्रविष्टः परमाणुवत् लक्ष्यते अंतर्गताश्चान्ये कोटिशो हि अंडराशयः. The layers or elements covering the universes are each 10 times thicker than the one before, and all the universes clustered together appear like atoms in a huge combination. ईदृशैः अंडकोश प्रमाणात् दशगुण उत्तरोत्तरो अधिकः येषु तैः. So how is it covered? What is the nature of the coverings? That is pointed out here. Each one is 10 times thicker than the one before. And the smallest one is 10 times thicker than the diameter of the universe itself. न केवलम् अयम् एक एव अपि तु अन्ये अपि लक्ष्यन्ते. It's not that only one universe is there, but there are actually many are seen in the scriptures. Vishnoः कारणार्णवशायिनः धाम देहः. Where is this coming from? This is the next verse. Yes, there is another one. Okay, let's continue with this. The coverings of the universe are also constituted of the elements of earth, water, fire, air, ether, and so on. And each is 10 times thicker than the one before. The first covering of the universe is earth, and it is 10 times thicker than the universe itself. If the universe is 4 billion miles wide, then the size of the earthly covering of the universe is 4 billion times 10. The covering of water is 10 times greater than the earthly covering. The covering of fire is 10 times greater than the watery covering. The covering of air is 10 times greater than that of fire. The covering of ether is 10 times greater still than that of air, and so on. The universe within the coverings of matter appears to be like an atom in comparison to the coverings. And the number of universes is unknown even to those who can estimate the coverings of the universes. 42. तदाहुरक्षरं ब्रह्म सर्वकारणकारणं विष्णुर्धाम परम साक्षात् पुरुषस्य महात्मनः. The Supreme Personality of God, Shri Krishna, is therefore said to be the original cause of all causes. Thus, the spiritual abode of Vishnu is eternal without a doubt, and it is also the abode of Mahavishnu, the origin of all manifestations. Vishnu, Karanarna Shayinaha Dhama Dehaha. So this Vishnu is Karanarkshayi Vishnu, and the word Dhama here indicates that it is the body of the Supreme Lord. Grihattvit, Grihadehattvit Prabhava Dhama Dhamani iti Amaraha. According to Amarakosha, the word Dhama can mean a house, it can mean a body, it can mean illumination, it can mean influence. In other words, all of these universes are found within the body of Karanodakshaya Vishnu. Lord Mahavishnu, who is resting in Yoganidra on the causal ocean and creating innumerable universes by his breathing process, only temporarily appears in the Mahatattva for the temporary manifestation of the material worlds. He is a plenary portion of Lord Sri Krishna, and thus, although he is not different from Lord Krishna, his formal appearance in the material world as an incarnation is temporary. The original form of the personality of God, it is actually the Swarupa, real form, and he eternally resides in the Vaikuntha world, Vishnu Loka. The word Mahatmanaha is used here to indicate Mahavishnu. Mahatmanaha. Let me look at the Anvaya. This is text number. Oh, we're already in text number 41. 41. Here is Mahatmanaha Purushasya Vishnu. Okay. Mahatmanaha is connected to Purushasya and it is connected to Vishnu. Correct. Therefore, we come to the conclusion that This is actually Mahavishnu. And his real manifestation is Lord Krishna. That means his original form is Lord Krishna, who is called Parama, as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha, Anadiradir Govinda Sarvat Karana Karanam. The Supreme Lord is Krishna, the original personality of Godhead, known as Govinda. His form is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, and he is the original cause of all causes. Chapter 12, creation of the Kumaras and others. Now, the Madhu group does not believe that there are many Brahmandas. They think there's only one Brahmanda. I think it is because of statements like this. Ekamandam Bahutvena Pratyekam Romakupagam Brahma Pashyat Tathatmanam Haristeshu Pratak Pratak. Brahma saw one Brahmanda as many, and each one within the hair hole of the Lord's body. He also saw himself in each separately. Brihadandam Abhudekam Itisha Bharate. Mahabharata says that there was one gigantic Brahmanda, one Ekam. So based on this, they think that there's only one Brahmanda. But there is also, this should also be seen along with other evidences. There are evidences of several Brahmandas and several Brahmas also. There are several Brahmas also. It's not only there's one Brahma, there are many Brahmas. We have evidence from Brahma Samhita. Even if you don't, if you think that no, that is also a misunderstanding. Brahma is just imagining that there are many Brahmandas. Then you have Garga Samhita, which talks about several Brahmas. I think evidence for many Brahmas can be found in the Puranas because there is that summary of the Puranas where several Brahmas went to Dwaraka to see Krishna. Our Brahma went and he saw other Brahmas also going and seeing Krishna. There were several Brahmas, several Shivas, and so on simultaneously. So that is evidence of several real Brahmandas. Okay. Mohan Radhapati Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. During the first line of this last verse purport about Lord Mahavishnu is that only temporarily he appears in the Mahatattva for the temporary manifestation of the material world. So,
Okay.
he appears temporarily in Mahatattva means as Garbhodaksha he appears in all the universe.
And disappears now.
It's true.
Material nature itself is manifested and unmanifested now. Material nature is manifested and unmanifested now. Material nature is permanent, but its manifestations are temporary now. So, Mahavishnu, Karnakshay Vishnu, at least as perceived by the conditioned souls, when they are sufficiently eligible to, sufficiently pious enough to see him, they will only perceive him as the super soul of Mahatattva. Still, he is not eternal like the forms in Vaikuntha, who are actually, they are not even manifested, unmanifested. They are always there. So there is a distinction there.
So this causes that is permanent.
Another way of understanding this would be Lord Mahavishnu, who's resting in Yoga Nidra on the causal ocean and creating innumerable universes by his breathing process, only temporarily appears in the Mahatattva for the temporary manifestation of the material world. He exerts himself only temporarily. The entire material Manifestation is temporary. No, it appears, disappears, appears, disappears.
Yes, yes.
There is a possibility that this could be an editing error. By his breathing process only appears in the Mahatattva, for the temporary manifestation of the material worlds would be accurate. It is possible that the word temporarily could be an editorial error. His formal appearance in the material world as an incarnation is temporary. Sorry?
Okay.
Formal appearance in the material world as an incarnation is temporary.
Okay, bro. Its causation is outside Mahatattva, no? Is it permanent, right? Hare Krishna, bro.
Where is the causal ocean? Is the causal ocean in between the spiritual world and the material world?
Okay, okay. Okay, bro, yes. Got it.
We need
Hare
to
Krishna, bro.
examine this. We need to examine this further. Anyway, we'll go through it. In Canto 3 only these things come in more detail. Let's examine this as we come along.
That it is on the border of spiritual world and material world. Causal ocean.
Karana Samudra.
Yeah.
And the causal ocean is eternal.
I don't know. It is on the border of both. So, I don't know.
Okay, fine. When it comes to many Brahmandas, Baladev Vidyabhushan gives evidence. He quotes from Bhagavatam and he also quotes from Brahma Samhita. And then Garga Samhita and other places also are evidence. It will be useful to gather further evidence on this, of multiple Brahmas, multiple Shivas, each in a separate universe. Okay, chapter 12. What is this? Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has given detailed tathya on time. Okay, anyway, we'll move on. Chapter 12, creation of the Kumaras and others. 1. Maitreya Vacha. Iti te varnitah kshaktah kalakhyah paramatmanah mahima vedagarbotha yatha srakshin nibodham me. Coming back to this Brahmanda code, this can simply mean Brahma saw a single Brahmanda as many. If all the Brahmandas are similar to each other, then when he sees one and he sees many similar to that, that also it can be. It doesn't mean that he only saw one and imagined that it was many, and that he imagined that each of them was in Romakupa. बहुत्वेन अपश्यत् एकमण्डमेव बहुत्वेन अपश्यत् तत् सादृश्यतया तत्तत् एव अपश्यत्. They were all similar. He did not say, it's not that each Brahmanda is by configuration externally appears different. So instead of seeing one football, he just sees so many footballs. तथा आत्मानं हरेस् Teshu Prutak Prutak. He also saw many, he saw himself separately in each of them. But there is evidence of many real Brahmas, no? So that means that he saw that other Brahmas are also similar to him. It can be interpreted in that way. Okay. There's a link. You're giving me a link. Okay, here is a quote. Karnabdhi pare mayar nitya avasthiti virajar pare parav vyomena gati. The viraja or the causal ocean is the border between the spiritual and the material world. The material energy is situated on one shore of that ocean, and it cannot enter onto the other shore, which is the spiritual sky. Karanabdhi. So if the Lord is lying here, okay, fine. See, Maitreya said, okay, let me get back to this. Maitreya vacha iti te varnitah kshattah kalakyah paramatmanah mahima vedagarbhotha yatasrakshin nibodham me. Shri Maitreya said, O learned Vidura, so far I have explained to you the glories of the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his feature of Kala. Now you can hear from me about the creation by Brahma, the reservoir of all Vedic knowledge. Sanakadi Maricyadi Dharadharmadi Vidhihi Dvadashe Sargavridyartham Mithunam Depatos Srijat. So in the 12th chapter, Brahma creates the Sanakas and so on, Marichi and so on, Dhara. What is it? Dharadharma. Is it Dharadharma? Is this correctly typed? Wait, let me check. Is it not? Dharma, correct. Dharma, Srigviti. Should be like this. Vidhi or Brahma, he created Sanaka and the other brothers, Marichi and the other brothers. He created Dharma, Adharma, and so on from his body. And in order to increase the population, he also created a couple. The first couple who are going to marry and reproduce biologically. Mahima Prabhava. The word Mahima means Prabhava, glories, influence. So far, I've explained to you the glories of the form of means. I have explained to you the influence or the power of the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his feature of Kala. 2. Okay, 1 minute. Let me just close this door. Next 2. Sasarjagrendha tamisram athat tamisramadikrit mahamoham cha moham cha tamaschagyana vrittayaha. Mahamoham cha moham cha tamaschagyana vrittayaha. Brahma first created the nescient engagements. Engagements in nescience, in ignorance, like self-deception, a sense of depth, anger after frustration, the sense of false ownership, and the illusory bodily conception or forgetfulness of one's real identity. So these all appear to be some kind of artificial intelligence programs which are injected into the subtle bodies of the conditioned souls. अविद्यावृत्तयः पूर्वसिद्धा एव सृष्ट्यारंभे ब्रह्मतः सकाशात् तमः आदि रूपेण आविर्बभूवुः. So these extensions of avidya, they were already there, but in the beginning of creation, in the form of tamas and so on. Tamas is here, darkness and self-knowledge. Tamas. In the form of tamas and so on, they appeared. That is pointed out in this verse. Tatra tamo nama jivasya swarupa aprakashah. So here tama means ignorance of the true nature of oneself, of the jiva. Mohaha deha ado aham aropaha. Moha, there is moha, illusory conception. Moha means the superimposition of the sense of I-ness on the body and anything which is connected to the body. Mahamohaha bhoktavya vishayeshu mamatva aropaha. Mahamoha, where is that? Ownership of enjoyable objects. Correct. It is a superimposition of the sense of mineness. It is mine, the sense of it is mine, upon all objects that one wants to enjoy and which is within his control. Tamisraha bhoga pratighate sati antahkarana dharmasya krodhasya svikaraha. So that is tamas, anger upon frustration. So this is tamisra is that by which there is the acceptance of anger. Svikaraha. That's the original reading. Wait. Svikara. Yes, svikara is correct. Is the acceptance of anger. And anger itself is a feature of the antahkarana, of the mind. So acceptance of anger, which is a feature of the mind, when one's endeavor to enjoy the sense objects that he thinks that he has the right to enjoy, when that is disturbed, or when it is prevented, when it is obstructed. Tataha cha andhatamisraha krodha tanmayi bhava rupa murcha eva maranam. Andhatamisra is a sense of death. It is actually murcha. It is a state of unconsciousness, filled with intense anger. Ete jivasya asantaha api avidyaya srishtaha. Even though these are not factually existing in the jiva, they are created by avidya. Yathoktam Vaishnave, as it is stated in the Vishnu Purana. Tamo viveko moham syat antah karana vibhramaha mahamohastu vidyeyo gramya bhoga sukha eshana maranam hyantha tamisram tamisrah krodha uchyate avidya panchaparvaisha pradurbhuta mahatmanaha. So here it clearly says tamas is aviveka, non-discrimination. Moha is bewilderment produced by the mind. Mahamoha should be understood to be the intense desire to enjoy Gramya Bhoga, which means vulgar sense enjoyment, unrefined, uncivilized sense enjoyment, just raw sense enjoyment. Maranam hi andhatamisram. Andhatamisra is death. Tamisra krodha uchyate. Tamisra is said to be anger. These are the 5 features of avidya. 5 states of avidya, you can say. Radhurubhuta Mahatmanaha. And they have uh, come out of the great soul, Brahma. Patanjale api ata eva uktaha. Avidyasmita raga dvesha abhiniveshaha panchaklesha iti. The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali also, we come across the same with different names. Avidya, Asmita, Raga, Dvesha, Abhinivesha. And these are presented as the 5 forms of distress. Shri Vishnu Swami Proktava, another interpretation coming from Shri Vishnu Swami. Ajnana Viparyasa Bheda Bhaya Shokaha. This is another 5. Ajnana Viparyasa Bheda Bhaya Shoka. Vasutastu avidyaya avarana vikshepaveva dvau dharmo. Actually, avidya has only 2 features. The feature of covering and the feature of throwing. Tavaiva avidya asmita shabda. What is it? Shabda. Shabdatma. Shabdatma bhav. What is it? Shabdabhyam or what? What is it? Tavaiva avidya asmita shabdabhyam. Tavaiva avidya asmita shabdabhyam. Ajnana viparyasa shabdabhyam cha uchyate. That covering and throwing, they are referred to as avidya and asmita, Patanjali, or ajnana and viparyasa of Vishnu Swami. Vishnu Swami, the 5 features are ajnana, ignorance, viparyasa, reverse conception, opposite conception, misconception, bheda, of false sense of differentiation, bhaya, fear, shoka, lamentation. Raga dvesha abhiniveshastu antahkarana dharma api vikshepa amsha pradhanyad vikshepa prapanchataya eva uchyante iti geya. Even though raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, attraction, repulsion, and obsession are features of the internal sense organ, still primarily they are aspects of vikshepa, the throwing feature of vidya. So therefore, they're all considered to be elements of the vikshepa feature of maya, of avidya. Okay, question?
So these features of avidya were already there, so they were initially created by Maya Devi.
No, they are part of avidya itself. They are aspects of avidya.
And where from avidya is coming through?
Avidya eternally exists, just like an object. When you okay, say a source of illumination, okay, and you keep some object next to it, a shadow is always there. So like that, avidya is always there. Maya is always there. Maya means the one who produces all these psychological effects on the souls who have turned away from the Lord.
Okay, bro.
Before the factual creation of the living entities in different varieties of species, the conditions under which a living being in the material world has to live were created by Brahma. Unless a living entity forgets his real identity, it is impossible for him to live in the material conditions of life. Therefore, the first condition of material existence is forgetfulness of one's real identity. And by forgetting one's real identity, one is sure to be afraid of death, although a pure living soul is deathless and birthless. This false identification with material nature is the cause of false ownership of things which are offered by the arrangement of superior control. All material resources are offered to the living entity for his peaceful living and for the discharge of the duties of self-realization in conditioned life. But due to false identification, the conditioned soul becomes entrapped by the sense of false ownership of the property of the Supreme Lord. It is evident from this verse that Brahma himself is a creation of the Supreme Lord and that the 5 kinds of nescience, ignorance, which condition the living entities in material existence are creations of Brahma. It is simply ridiculous to think that the living entity to be equal with the Supreme Being who can, when one can understand that the conditioned souls are under the influence of Brahma's magic wand. Patanjali also accepts the 5 kinds of nescience mentioned herein. 3. दृष्ट्वा पापीयसीं सृष्टिं नात्मानं बह्वमन्यत भगवद्ध्यानपूतेन मनसान्यां ततोऽसृजत्. Seeing such a misleading creation as a sinful task, Brahma did not feel much pleasure in his activity and therefore he purified himself by meditation on the personality of Godhead. Then he began another term of creation. Avidyaya nivartika vidya eveti ज्ञापयितुं विद्यावर्ते अपि तस्मादेव सनकादिरूपेण आविर्बभूवुः इत्याह दृष्ट्वा इत्यादिना. Now, the one that neutralizes avidya is vidya, and only vidya. So, in order to make it known, Sri Maitreya Rishi says that the extensions of vidya also appeared in the form of the 4 Kumaras from that very same Brahma. This is conveyed in the text beginning with Drishtva, text number 3. Mahakalpayusham Brahma Adinam Jivatam Eva Prathama Paradhante Parameshware Praveshat Padme Kalpe Yatha Brahma Padmad Udapadyata Tatha Brahma Pi Sanakadin Punar Utpadayam Asa Tyaha. So the idea is that Brahma and the other jivas, they actually live for a Mahakalpa, which is Brahma's life. And they had entered into the Supreme Lord at the end of the first half of Brahma's life. So just as Brahma in Padmakalpa came out of a lotus, similarly, Brahma also again generated Sanaka and the others. This is now explained. Okay, yeah, okay. Although he created the different influences of nations, Lord Brahma was not satisfied in performing such a thankless task. But he had to do it because most of the conditioned souls wanted it to be so. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 15.15 that he is present in everyone's heart and he is helping everyone to either remember or forget. The question may be raised why the Lord, who is all merciful, helps one to remember and another to forget. Actually, his mercy is not exhibited in partiality towards one and enmity towards another. The living entity, as part and parcel of the Lord, is partially independent because he partially possesses all the qualities of the Lord. Anyone who has some independence may sometimes misuse it due to ignorance. When the living entity prefers to misuse his independence and glide down towards nations, the all merciful Lord first of all tries to protect him from the trap. But when the living entity persists in gliding down to hell, the Lord helps him to forget his real position. See, first of all, the Lord tries to protect him from the trap. It's not that Krishna just immediately accepts it. The Lord helps the falling living entity glide down to the lowest point just to give him the chance to see if he is happy by misusing his independence. Almost all the conditioned souls who are rotting in the material world are misusing their independence. And therefore, 5 kinds of nations are imposed upon them. As an obedient servitor of the Lord, Brahma creates all these as a matter of necessity, but he is not happy in doing so because a devotee of the Lord naturally does not like to see anyone falling down from his real position. Persons who do not care for the path of realization get full facilities from the Lord for executing their proclivities, their inclinations to the fullest extent. And Brahma helps in that procedure without fail. 4. Sanakam cha sanandam cha sanatanam athatma bhu sanat kumaram cha munin nishkriyan urdhvare tasaha. This is what is this? This is not a okay. This is a continuation of the previous verse. In the beginning, Brahma created 4 great sages named Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumar. All of them were unwilling to adopt materialistic activities because they were highly elevated due to their semens flowing upwards. Sanakam cha iti. This is text number 4. Sankhya, Yoga, Vairagya, Tapamsi iti Chatvari eva Vidyayaha Chatasraha Vrittayaha. Sankhya, Yoga, Vairagya, and Tapas. These 4 are the 4 extensions of Vidya. Tasameva Sanakadi Chatushtaya Rupena Avirbhavaha. And these 4 extensions of Vidya, they are the ones who appeared in the form of these 4 Kumaras. Kimcha. Moreover, Bhaktya Vina Vidyayaha Vaiphalyat. Because Vidya is useless, is unsuccessful without Hari Bhakti, Tad Vrittishu, Tapadishu api Bhakti Gunibhuta Sati Tishtet. Iti Sanakadeha api Bhaktimanta eva drishta. But because Vidya is also unsuccessful without Bhakti, it is to be understood that Bhakti is present in a minimized form within these 4 aspects of Sankhya, Yoga, Vairagya, Tapas. Therefore, it is seen that the 4 Kumaras, they are also devotees of Lord Vishnu. Mukhya Bhakti, that is wrong. Mukhya Bhakti hai, not Mukhya Bhakti. No, why that? Mukhya Bhakti hai Avirbhavatu Narad Rupena Agre Vakshyate. Bhakti in her primary form will also appear, and that appearance will be explained as the appearance of Narada. In her appearance as Narada, that will be stated. Although Brahma created the principles of nescience as a matter of necessity for those living entities who were destined to be conditioned by such ignorance by the will of the Lord, Brahma was not satisfied in performing such a thankless task. He therefore created 4 principles of knowledge, Sankhya or empirical study for the analytic empirical philosophy for the analytical study of material conditions, yoga or mysticism for liberation of the pure soul from material bondage, vairagya, the acceptance of complete detachment from material enjoyment in life, to elevate oneself to the highest spiritual understanding, and tapas or the various kinds of voluntary austerities performed for spiritual perfection. Brahma created the four great sages, Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara, to entrust them with these four principles of spiritual advancement. And they inaugurated their own spiritual party of Sampradaya, known as the Kumara Sampradaya, or later on as the Nimbarka Sampradaya, for the advancement of the cult. All of these great sages became great devotees of the Lord, for without devotion service to the personality of Godhead, one cannot achieve success in any activity of spiritual value. Nimbarka Sampradaya, they also have their own explanation to Vedanta Sutra. Keshava Kashmiri appeared in their life. Their Vedanta explanation is nice. Everyone attacks Mayavada. Okay, text 5. Tan babhashe swabhuh putran prajah srijat putraka tannaichan moksha dharmano vasudeva parayana. Brahma spoke to his sons after generating them. My dear sons, he said, now generate progeny. But due to their being attached to Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they aimed at liberation and therefore they expressed their unwillingness. Tat na So they were not, they were not interested. Iti, this indicates that Jnana Yogam Khalu Avidyaka Karma Yoga Nirasaka Eva Syadityotita. Jnana Yoga is indeed the opposite of, or when one comes to the platform of Jnana Yoga, he stops engaging in the activities of Karma Yoga, which is conducted under the influence of Vidya. Because Karma Yoga is the best use of a bad bargain. When one comes to Jnana Yoga, one does not engage in these activities of Karma Yoga. So they refuse to generate progeny. They refuse to generate progeny even without having female and all that. That kind of, they just did not want to get into this progeny business. The four sons of Brahma, the Kumaras, declined to become family men, even on the request of their great father Brahma. Those who are serious about gaining release from material bondage should not be entangled in the false relationship of family bondage. People may ask how the Kumaras could refuse the orders of Brahma, who was their father and above all the creator of the universe. The reply is that one who is Vasudeva Parayana, or seriously engaged in the devotional service of the personality of God as Vasudeva, need not care for any other obligation. It is enjoined in the Bhagavatam 11.5.41, Devarshi Bhutapta Nrinam Pitrinam, Na Kinkarunayam Rinicha Rajan. Sarvatmana Yasharanam Sharanyam Gato Mukundam Parishritya Kartam. Anyone who has completely given up all worldly relationships and has taken absolute shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, who gives us salvation and who alone is fit to be taken shelter of, is no longer a debtor or servant of anyone else, including the demigods, forefathers, sages, other living entities, relatives, or human society in general. Thus, there was nothing wrong in the acts of the Kumaras when they refused their great father's request that they become family men. Prabhupada also told his disciples, according to the disciples' testimony, that this is the only instruction of the spiritual master that the disciple can disobey. 6. Sovadhyataha सोऽवध्यातः सुतेरेवं प्रत्याख्यातानुशासनै क्रोधं दुर्विषहं जातं नियन्तुमुपचक्रमे. On the refusal of the sons to obey the order of their father, there was much anger generated in the mind of Brahma, which he tried to control and not express. Avadhyatah, avagyatah. So Brahma was disrespected. Brahma considered it to be disrespect. Niyanto upachakrama iti Brahmana rajasa svabhavatvam vyaktam. And he tried to control his anger. This reveals that Brahma's nature is rajasic. Evam tamadi sanakadyo srishtau tamasa satvika bhava udayau tasya purvam geyo. So from this, it is also understood that when he was engaged in the creation of tamas and so on, then his tamasic nature had come out. And when he engaged in the creation of the four Kumaras, then his sattvic nature had come out. It should be understood. Brahma is the director in charge of the mode of passion of material nature. Therefore, it was natural for him to become angry on the refusal of his sons to obey his order. Although the Kumaras were right in such acts of refusal, Brahma, being absorbed in the mode of passion, could not check his passionate anger. He did not express it, however, because he knew that his sons were far enlightened in spiritual advancement, and thus he should not express his anger before them. 7. धिया निगृह्यमाणोऽपि ध्रुवोर्मध्यात् प्रजापते सद्यो जायत तन्मन्युः कुमारो नीललोहितः. Although he tried to curb his anger, it came out from between his eyebrows, and a child of mixed blue and red hue was immediately generated. Avidyaya nivartika yatha vidyaya api क्वचिन् निवर्तिका तथा अविद्या स्यात् इति दर्शयितुं विद्या उदयवत्यपि ब्रह्मणि अविद्या वृत्ति मुख्यस्य तामिस्र अभिधानस्य क्रोधस्य रुद्ररूपेण आविर्भावः. So just as vidya neutralizes avidya, sometimes just as vidya sometimes neutralizes avidya, sometimes it itself is neutralized by avidya. In order to reveal this, here Krodha, which is known as Tamisra, which is the primary aspect of avidya, appears in the form of Rudra. So this is despite the fact that Brahma has brought about vidya. Dhiya iti, current text. Tan manyuhu, tasya prajapatehe manyuhu. So this is the anger of the Prajapati. Sacha aso manyuho cha iti va nilalohita iti krodha api tatvarna eva. So his anger took on the colors of blue and red. His anger took on the forms of blue and red. Nilalohita, mixture of blue and red. The phase of anger is the same whether exhibited due to ignorance or knowledge. Although Brahma tried to curb his anger, he could not do so, even though he is a supreme being within his universe. Such anger, in its true color, came from between the eyebrows of Brahma and Sudra, in a mixed color of blue, ignorance, and red, passion, because anger is the product of passion and ignorance. 8. Savai ruroda devanam purvajo bhagavan bhavah namani kurume dhyata dhata dhata. Sthanani cha Jagadguru. After his birth, he began to cry. O destiny maker, teacher of the universe, kindly designate my names and places. Tat Leelam Aha Sava. And then he states the pastimes of Lord Shiva here. 9. Iti tasya vachah padmo bhagavan paripalayan abhyadhat bhadraya vacha marodis tat karomi te. The all-powerful Brahma, who was born from the lotus flower, pacified the boy with gentle words, accepting his request, and said, "Do not cry. I shall certainly do as you desire." Then, Yad arodhi surashreshta sodvega iva balakaha iva. Notice this. Tatastvam avidasyanti namna rudra iti prajah. Thereafter, Brahma said, "O chief of the demigods, you shall be called by the name Rudra by all people because you have so anxiously cried. Like a boy." It's a pastime of Lord Shiva. Eleven. Hrid indriyanyasur vyoma vayuragnir. Hrid indriyanyasur vyoma vayuragnir jalam mahi. Suryas chandras tapaschaiva. Sthananyagri kritanite. My dear boy, I have already selected the following places for your residence: the heart, the senses, the air of life, the sky, the air, the fire, the water, the earth, the sun, the moon, and austerity. Hriditi. Hriditi. No. Hriditi. Let me check. Hrid. हृदादीनाम् अहङ्कारकार्यत्वात् अहङ्कार्यतिष्ठातुः रुद्रस्य तत्तत् स्थान औचित्यात्. Hrid than others, all of these 10, they are effects of karya, of ahankara. And Rudra is the presiding deity of ahankara. Therefore, it is appropriate that these are his places of residence. Krodha pakshe tu hrit krodasya. Now, if one were to interpret it in terms of krodha, anger, then one should understand like this. Hrit. Krit. Krodasya janmasthanameva. Tat atra pravrittaha. The heart is the birthplace of anger. It starts from there. And once it begins to develop, netra pani pada indriyeshu api tishtati tattat vyapara suchyah. Then it resides in the eyes, in the hands, in the feet, and the senses also, which is clearly indicated by the various activities of the eyes, hands, feet, senses, and so on. तथा एव अस्तुषु प्राणेषु अपि नासा आश्वास आधिसूच्यः. आधिय, is this correctly typed? आधिक्य सूच्यः. And then one's breathing becomes enhanced when one is angry and so on, because anger now resides in the life airs. So this is another indication. तथा बहिराकाशस्य प्रचण्डघोर सिंहादिशब्दैः वायु अग्नि जलानां शोषकत्व दाहकत्व प्लावकत्व भावकत्वैः मह्याः स्वविकारैः मुद्गरादिभिः तथा तेषां सङ्घातैः सिंहव्याघ्रसर्पादिभिः. And then you have anger represented uh, in sky. Now this is through the ferocious roar of a lion and so on. Then then you have the actions of the wind, fire, and water as drying up, burning, and inundating the earth. No, no, no. And then you have in earth, it transforms in the form of various weapons. These are all because of the anger principle. Tata tesham sangataihi. And all of them, all of these elements put together, we see in the bodies of animals such as lion, tiger, snakes, and so on. They're all naturally angry. Surya Chandrayoho तापहिमाभ्यां मारकत्वम् अस्ति इति तेषु अपि क्रोधः तिष्ठति. And because we see in the sun and the moon heat and the snow, both of which can bring about death, we understand that anger is found in them also. Tapa iti upalakshana. Here tapa is an upalakshana. It is an indication of other items that come with tapas. Sankhya Yoga Vairagyana. The items that come with tapas are Sankhya, Yoga, Vairagya. So anger resides in them also. It resides in austerity, tapas. It resides in them also. Teshamapi bhakti palyatva abhave. When bhakti does not protect the engagement of Sankhya, Yoga, Vairagya, tapas, krodhasthanatvam drishtam, then we see that they are abodes of or places of anger. Tapo deepitamanyava ityadi vakya. One who is blazing with, one whose anger is blazing due to their austerities. Atevokta. Therefore it is said, Arohya Krichrena param padam tatah patantyado nadhriti yushmadangrayaha. 10.2.32. The creation of Rudra from between the eyebrows of Brahma as the result of his anger, generated from the mode of passion, partly touched by ignorance, is very significant. In the Bhagavad Gita 3.37, the principle of Rudra is described. Krodha, anger, is the product of kama, lust, which is the result of the mode of passion. When lust and hankering are unsatisfied, the element of krodha appears, which the Lord condemns as the most sinful, formidable enemy of the conditioned soul. Anger is represented as ahankara, or the false egocentric attitude of thinking oneself to be all in all. Such an egocentric attitude on the part of the conditioned soul who is completely under the control of the material nature is described in the Bhagavad Gita as foolish. The egocentric attitude is a manifestation of the Rudra principle in the heart, wherein krodha, anger, is generated. This anger develops in the heart and is further manifested through various senses like the eyes, hands, and legs. When a man is angry, he expresses such anger with red hot eyes, and sometimes makes a display of clenching his fists or kicking his legs. This exhibition of the Rudra principle is the proof of Rudra's presence in such places. When a man is angry, he breathes very rapidly, and thus Rudra is represented in the air of life or in the activities of breathing. When the sky is overcast with dense clouds and roars in anger, and when the wind blows very fiercely, the Rudra principle is manifested. And also, when the sea water is infuriated by the wind, it appears in a gloomy feature of Rudra, which is very fearful to the common man. When fire is ablaze, we can also experience the presence of Rudra. And when there is inundation over the earth, we can understand that this is also the representation of Rudra. There are many earthly creatures which constantly represent the Rudra element. The snake, tiger, and lion are always representations of Rudra. By the influence of the Rudra element, the sun becomes extremely hot and the moon becomes extremely cold. Sometimes, because of the extreme heat of the sun, there are cases of heat stroke, and due to the extreme coldness created by the moon, there are cases of the collapse of living conditions. There are many sages empowered with the influence of austerity, and there are many yogis, philosophers, and renouncers who sometimes exhibit their acquired power in the mode of passion under the influence of the Rudra principle of anger. The great yogi Durvasa, under the influence of this Rudra principle, picked a quarrel with Maharaj Ambarisha, and the Brahmana boy exhibited the Rudra principle by cursing the great king Parikshit. When the Rudra principle is exhibited by persons who are not engaged in the devotion service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the angry person falls down from the peak of his improved position. This is confirmed as follows. Yenyer vindaksha vimukta maninaha tvayastha bhavad avishuddha buddhaya aruhi krishnena parampadam tatah patantyato nadriti yushmadankayah. 10.2.32. The most lamentable fall down of the impersonalist is due to his false and unreasonable claim of being one with the Supreme. There's something in the chat box. Let's see what is all this. Dharmadna Prabhu, Nirodha, the winding up of all energies employed in creation. Such potencies are emanations from the personality of God who eternally lies in the causal, in the Karana ocean. The cosmic creations manifested with his breath are again dissolved in due course. So it looks like Karana ocean is eternal. All the universes clustered together means they're all together. The universe are not, they're all in one area, the Mahatattva. Does Prabhupada accept the authority of Patanjali? Patanjali is a standard authority of the yoga system. The yoga system comes from Lord Brahma originally, and Patanjali propagated it. There are 6 darshanas. So Patanjali is the teacher of one of them, Yoga Darshana. This Yoga Sutra is very famous. This semen flowing upward, does it happen only after anarthas are eradicated? Those who are Akhanda Brahmacharis, they ensure that they are not agitated by lusty thoughts at all. They do not, certainly do not engage in any sexual activity of any type. And they may have other anarthas also. The reply is that one who is Vasudeva Parayana, who seriously engaged in the devotion service of the personality of God at Vasudeva need not care for any other obligation, but still family bondage is not cut, I feel, until parents exist. That is if one is not Vasudeva Parayana. He may be a Vasudeva Bhakta, but he may not be Vasudeva Parayana. So then all these feelings for one's parents, children, all of that will continue to exist. One should not have anger. Is it possible when one comes to the mode of goodness, he will give up all anger? Not all anger. One should not come under the control of anger. Eventually, when one attains the stage of prema bhakti, then there is no anger at all. Anya nindadi shunya hridam, the very propensity for criticizing others and engage in violent activities go away. The propensity itself goes away when one attains Bhagavad Prema, Krishna Prema. Okay, there's some question here. Yes.
So, in 7th verse, Prabhupada was saying in purport that anger exhibited due to ignorance or knowledge both has the same face. So, what it means is
The phase of anger is the same whether exhibited due to ignorance or knowledge. Okay.
What it means, Prabhu, actually, that anger, the outcome will be same. The person will fall down, whether he becomes angry out of knowledge or out of ignorance.
Whether the person has is in ignorance or knowledge, you see these the places of anger. Okay, heart, senses, these 10, and these are quite visible. Okay, so this will continue to be seen. No? Whether the person is cultivating the mode of goodness or he is not cultivating the mode of goodness, when he becomes angry, anger will be shown in the same manner. It may be shown to a lesser extent, but the manner in which it is exhibited will be the same. That is the point.
So
Okay,
a person in knowledge, a person in mode of goodness, he is allowed to become angry.
If he is cultivating the mode of goodness, then anger is the opposite of that. Kama, Krodha, Lobha. These are all gateways to hell. So he should not be. There are only particular reasons when anger can be utilized in the service of Lord Vishnu. Kama Krishna Karmarpane, Krodha Bhakta Dveshijane. So one's passion can be utilized when one offers his prescribed activities in the service of Lord Krishna in a particular manner, so that it goes away, that passion goes away. Same way, anger also can be utilized. Even on the stage of sadhana, it can be utilized. When one's tendency to be angry is diverted towards those who are offensive to Lord Hari. So in that way, that Krodha Vega has an outlet, authorized outlet. Okay, let's move on.
Eventually, it should go away also if it is expressed in this way.
Yeah. If we progress in Krishna consciousness, then the urges will go away. We are talking of the material urges. When one becomes completely spiritual, also one may become angry. Like Shukadeva Goswami is angry with Kamsa, Vena. That we can see is obvious in Bhagavatam. That is spiritual. That is completely spiritual. This is not that. We are generally in the stage of sadhana, we are experiencing probably a combination of both. Okay. Well, okay. Somapati Prabhu has a question.
So just like in devotional service, when sometimes devotees perform but does not perform services, at that time we get anger. So that is also okay. That is accepted.
If it is within Uttama Bhakti, it will not prevent us from making spiritual progress. But there may be other elements also. If I am in the position of authority and I become angry, one thing is I'm considering that this is a devotional service to Krishna and it will impede in service to Krishna, it will displace Krishna. But another thing is there may be another element that he's disobeying me, I am the authority. So there is a false ego based anger also now. It's generally a combination of both.
So then how
Okay.
this authority mood will go?
For that, we have to make spiritual progress. Only when we make spiritual progress, then all these crazy ideas will go away. It also depends on the whole package is there, whom to associate with, how to associate, how to engage in bhajana kriya. There's a whole thing. So when we execute all of them correctly, then we make progress. Okay, 12.
Is it from nectar of instruction only you are saying?
Nectar of instruction, nectar of devotion. It's everywhere. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. Narada Bhakti Sutra, Chaitanya Charitamrita, everywhere, because these are all common problems in the initial stages. Just that we may spend a few lifetimes in the initial stages unnecessarily. Okay.
How to make it stop?
You have to progress what is there. Each Jivatma came in this world by his own choice. He has to get out by his own choice. Just obey what is there. 12. Manyur Manur Mahinaso Mahan Chivaratadvaja Ugrareta Bhavak Kalo Vamadevo Dhritavratah. Lord Brahma said, my dear boy Rudra, you have 11 other names. Manyo, Mano, Mahinasa, Mahan Shiva Ratadvaja, Ugrareta Bhavakala, Vamadeva, and Thritavrata. Manyurityadini, Ekadasha Rudranam Namani. These are 11 names of the Rudras. There are 11 Rudras. 13. Dhir Dhritir Rasaloma Cha Niyut Sarp Ilambika. Iravati Swadha Diksha Rudranyo Rudrate Striyaha. Rudra, you also have 11 wives called the Rudranis, and they are as follows: Dhi, Dhriti, Rasala, Uma, Niyut, Sarpi, Ila, Ambika, Iravati, Swadha, and Diksha. Dhir Ityadini, Ekadasha, Tat Shaktinam Namani. These are the names of the 11 potencies of those of Rudra. So there are 11 Rudras and there are 11 Rudra Shaktis. These are the 11 wives of Rudra, the Rudranis. 14. Grihanetani namani sthanani cha sayoshanaha ebhisraja praja bhakvi prajanam asiyat patihi. My dear boy, you may now accept all the names and places designated for you and your different wives. And since you are one of the masters of the living entities, you may now increase the population on a large scale. Sayoshanaha, sastrikaha, along with your wives. एभिः स्थानैः नामभिः च युक्तः सन् प्रजाः सृजा. So I've given you these places and names. So with these places and names, create progeny. Brahma, who is the father of Rudra, selected the wives of his son, his living places, and his names as well. It is natural that one should accept the wife selected by one's father, just as a son accepts the name given by the father, or as he accepts the property offered by the father. That is the general course in increasing the population of the world. On the other hand, the Kumaras did not accept the offering of their father because they were elevated far beyond the business of generating a great number of sons. As a son can refuse the order of the father for higher purposes, so the father can refuse to maintain his sons in increasing population because of higher purposes. So it goes both ways. 15. Ityadishtasva guna Bhagavan Nilalohitaha Sattvākriti Svabhavena Sasarjatma Samah Praja. The most powerful Rudra, whose bodily complexion, whose bodily color was blue mixed with red, created many offspring exactly resembling him in strength, bodily features, and furious nature. Here the word Sattva refers to strength or power. So, Akriti, Nilalohita. Their bodily features resembled him. They were also blue-red. Svabhavaha ivratta. And their nature was also furious nature. 16. Rudranam Rudra Srishtanam Samantat Grasatam Jagat Nishamya Sankhya Sho Yuthan Prajapatir Shankata. The sons and grandsons generated by Rudra were unlimited in number, and when they assembled together, they attempted to devour the entire universe. When Brahma, the father of the living entity, saw this, he became afraid of the situation. Rudra Srishtanam Rudranam Yuthani Drishtva iti Anvaya. So when he saw all these different unlimited assemblies, groups generated by Rudra, then Brahma became afraid. The generations of Rudra, the incarnation of anger, were so dangerous to the maintenance of universal affairs that even Brahma, the father of the living entities, became afraid of them. The so-called devotees or the followers of Rudra are also a menace. They are sometimes dangerous, even to Rudra himself. Descendants of Rudra sometimes make plans to kill Rudra by the grace of Rudra. That is the nature of his devotees. 17. Alam prajabhi srishtabhi idrishi visrotama maya saha dahanti vi dishaschakshu bhir ulbanai. Brahma told Rudra, "O best among the demigods, there is no need for you to generate living entities of this nature. They have begun to devastate everything on all sides with the fiery flames from their eyes, and they have even attacked me." We'll take this up later on. Let me look at what's there in the chat box. One should not have anger. Is it possible when one comes to the mode of goodness, you will give up all anger? This I dealt with. Until one stops committing offenses, the semen flowing downwards does not stop. Related. But there are also celibate people who commit offenses. It looks like they are two separate accounts. But definitely, we are coming from Tamoguna, Rajoguna now. We are not even born properly. We are not brought up properly. Just something we are. But somehow by the causeless mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we've been given the opportunity to take up a process which normally takes thousands of lifetimes. We are given the opportunity to complete it within one lifetime. So we should accept seeing the extreme and extraordinary miraculous benefits of it. We should accept the process. We should repeatedly discipline our body and mind to prevent sinful activities, offenses, and so on. It requires abhyasena kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. It requires both. Where all 11 Rudras were born together, that is not. I don't know the details of these pastimes. These things come in several Puranas. Lord Shiva's pastimes also come in several places. So the father can refuse to maintain his sons in increasing population because of higher purposes. I did not understand this. So just as when a son is dedicated to Lord Vasudeva and wants to attain liberation as fast as possible, and he refuses to get married, he disobeys his father's instruction to marry. So like that, it is also because for a higher cause he is allowed to disobey. Like that, a father is supposed to maintain his son, but a father can refuse to maintain a son who is not accepting the principles of dharma with which one can increase population. So then the father can refuse to maintain such sons. So it goes both ways. Okay, so we'll stop at that. Okay, one Shakal Padar Vyashil Pasan the Pyevacha, Patadana Pavan Pyo, Vaishnava Pyo.